Hey, it's Rob again. Thanks for clicking on this video. I want to show you a Navy ship that I built back in the 90s, my first Navy ship. And it's a Dumas USS Crockett, all wood kit. And I'm going to take you through the boat, kind of start from the bow, kind of work our way around a little bit, just show you what I did. Again, it's a wood kit, all put together with epoxy and CA glue, and then the hull was resined in fiberglass with a thin layer of fiberglass cloth to add strength and seal the hull. I did coat the inside of the hull as well with resin to waterproof the wood. This was all plank-on frame balsa, and this kit, believe it or not, took me 7 years to build. I have to work 5 days a week, so it doesn't give you an awful lot of time to build a wood kit. This kit, when I got it, was just a box of wood and some metal fittings. That was it. And I always wanted to build a battleship, and this is actually a Vietnam era gunship is really what it is. And it's a shallow draft boat. I did post a video of this model this summer on my channel, so you can check that out and see it actually go in the water. But I wanted to just show you the model up close because I couldn't really do that at the lake. And you can kind of see some of the detail on how I built the boat. The railings are all brass, but I did use Roby pre-drilled stanchions for the vertical parts of the railings. The rest of it was all brass tubing that I had to bend and conform to the shape that you see. The windshield wipers, I did add that. That was not part of the kit. Just took some thin wire, bent it, and soldered it together right at the wiper. Kind of gives it a neat look. You can see the 50 cal gun up front. Some chains, the breakwater. That was all wood, everything you're seeing here, except for the metal deck fittings. Boat runs really well, I'm happy with it. It's not real fast, but it moves along nice. You can see the mast here. The wind vane right there, I actually just carved out of a little piece of wood, sanded it smooth, and put a propeller on the front. You can see the 3 stacks. One's for the turbine, the gas turbine, and the 2 small ones are for the diesel engines. Got some firefighting equipment on the side. That axe handle actually made out of a wooden toothpick. I was trying to find a small piece of wood, and the closest thing I could find was a toothpick, so it worked out great. Sometimes it doesn't cost a lot of money to build a boat. Just got to look around and find different materials that will achieve the goal you're trying to create. There's that 50 cal. Nice good view of the breakwater. Let's continue down the starboard side here a little bit. You can see all the lights, they're on right now. So basically all I did was took aluminum tubing, it's 1/16 tubing, and just curved it, drilled the hole in the cabin, and picked up these small train railroading lamps, and they had just 2 wires soldered to it. I just pushed the wires through the tubing and connected them all inside the cabin. You can see the 40 cal in the back, with the 50 cal in the front, and the 40 Bofors in the stern. And this was part of the Asheville class of ships. There was quite a few of them. And this is again the USS Crockett. There's a good view of the Bofors. So this gun was not part of the kit. The 40 millimeter that came with the kit wasn't as detailed as I'd like. So I was turned on to a company that sold this gun as a kit. You have to put it together. It was a whole bag of pieces, and glued it all together, and it came out really nice. It looks much more realistic than the kit. But I used most of the other deck hardware that Dumas supplied. Here's the lifeboat. I actually made the gas can out of a little piece of wood, Used a piece of wire for the fuel line, and found a small outboard motor off of a small kid's toy that was kind of close in scale. You can see some of the fire hose there, the life rafts, machine guns, more axes and firefighting equipment, hatch doors, ladders. The radar does turn on top. I have a servo, continuous rotating servo inside the cabin that turns that. So that's kind of neat. And you can see the stand that I built for it. It's a simple wood stand with a dowel in the middle. Stained it, polyurethaned it. Looks kind of nice. And there's underneath. I did a little different than the kit. The real boat had that V support. If you can see from the video, hopefully it's clear. So I actually just took pieces of brass and soldered it to the shaft, or a stuffing box tube that comes through the hull, and it gave it a more realistic look. And the rudders, as you can see, there's two rudders. Inside the boat we've got twin motors. So I'm going to show you a little bit of the animation that I put on this boat. So I've got some lights. You saw the stern light, cabin lights, and the spotlight up on the top of the bridge. And I also included Roby gear motors, which I bought back in the 90s. I'm not sure if you can even get them anymore. But the motors are underneath the two main guns. So the stern gun and the bow gun, the 50 cal, have gear motors underneath, and I can control those right from the radio. So when I move my left stick to the right or to the left, it turns the gun either direction. And then the same thing with the stern. And they're both turning at the same time. See if I can back up so you can catch both of them at the same time going. Okay, ready? Going to the right and going to the left. So that was kind of neat. And of course, you've got your throttle, which is forward, neutral, and reverse. And then the rudder is on the right stick and left stick. So when I go hard right, what that noise is, I have a 6-volt water pump inside the hull, and I have a pickup tube on the bottom of the hull, and I've got 6 bilge pumps. And if you check out my video I posted this summer on this boat, you'll see there's little holes on each side of the boat, and they're pretty close to where the dischargers are in the real boat. And the pump sucks up water from the lake and puts it through the hull in this tubing system with splitters that split the water up to each bilge discharge. So I've got basically 5 discharges, 2 on the starboard side, 3 on the port side, that discharge water. So that's kind of neat. Always wanted to do that. The boat doesn't leak, like I said, but the pickup tube goes through the bottom of the hull, and that's where I get to draw the water up from to put that out through the bilge system. I also have a destroyer siren, and I also have a horn. So I have a speaker mounted right under this ventilation unit here, and there's a screen in there. So the screen allows the sound to come right through so you can hear it nice and loud on the lake. So that's kind of cool. As far as animation, that's mostly what I put on the boat. I wanted to have lights, I wanted the guns to turn. We've got forward, neutral, reverse, bilge pump system. So that's a lot to keep me going. So what I like to do whenever I build a model, before I start, I like to learn a little bit about the boat, read up on it, get some pictures of the real boat if I can. So I'm just going to show you here real quick a couple pictures I was able to get my hands on. So there's the real boat at a dock. I'm not sure where that picture was taken. This here I got from the U.S. Navy archives, and it's an official U.S. Navy photo. And it shows that the boat was in Vietnam when this picture was taken. It says right here, the gunboat USS Crockett, PG-88, at anchor on the Kowloon River, if I pronounced that right. And that's kind of neat. And there's a nice picture. So that kind of helps in the build process when you're building a boat. You can see the little life raft or small lifeboat on the side there. And let's see what else I can show you. There's another one. This is a picture of the real boat on patrol in Vietnam. Actual picture released by the U.S. Navy. This picture here I got from the Navy as well, and this is the USS Crockett. It's a bow view about 45 degrees off center line where the boat was built in Tacoma, Washington. That's in the U.S. And then here's a side view of the boat. This is a stern view, Tacoma, Washington, dated 1967 when the boat was being built. Here's a stern view, June 14th, 1967. There's a bow view. This is a really neat picture. This is when the boat was just first put in the water before it was finished. This is June 4th of 1966. Tacoma Boat Building Company, Tacoma, Washington. Here's another side view of the boat. Still in Tacoma, Washington, just as the boat was finished. This picture here shows the stern of the boat, and if you look really closely, hopefully you can see it, but you can see the V underneath that supports the shafts. And again, the Dumas kit didn't have that, so I modified that so I could make it look more like the real boat. I'm trying to zoom in there so you can see it. If you look closely, you can see a V under there on each starboard and port side, but those were the actual supports that held up the end of the shaft. And this picture here is of the boat underway. So it really moves out, this boat. Again, shallow draft, no keel, designed to run through shallow waters. So let me show you inside the boat and kind of how I set up the gear motor. So if you look in here, you can see, let me get this to come out here. I'll show you here. There's my gear motor mounted underneath. There's capacitors on there to cut down on the noise that the motors sometimes produce. There's my 6-volt battery. Everything's powered and runs off of one 6-volt battery. And I'm going to come over here and I'll lift up the cabin. You can see inside. So there's a lot going on in here. As you can see, there's looking to the right, we've got servos controlling the rudder. Got servo with 2 switches that make the bow and stern guns turn left and right. The orange bracket on top of the servo there is for the foghorn and destroyer siren. And there's my Vantec RET44 speed control. I do have some lead in the bow there just to kind of give the hull a little more stability, and it's very stable in the water when it runs. And I'll let you kind of see underneath here a little bit. There's the speaker mounted below, and this is almost kind of like my umbilical cord here. All the wires that come out of the cabin go right down through that wire and connect up into that, so I can disconnect that and separate this from the boat if I need to do any work. And then you can see, if you look down in there, you can see my tubing and the T-splitters. Those are all for the bilge pump system. So again, the water is drawn up through the bottom of the hull and exits right through the side of the hull, as you can see right there. I made just a block of wood with a brass tube, connected the rubber fuel line to it, and helps discharge the water. So that's basically my USS Crockett. Real happy the way it turned out. It runs nice in the water, very stable. I measured it to be about 52 inches long. A couple more views of the going up the port side. There's a good close-up of the 50 millimeter or 50 cal gun. Again, the breakwater. And there's the bow. Another view of the mast. There's the radar on top, and that turns with a servo that I have mounted inside the hull. There's a kind of an inside view. You can see the planking in there, how the hull was planked and then sealed for waterproofing. I'm pretty fortunate. I don't really get any water in this boat at all when it runs. So I did build a nice travel stand too, which that's my display stand that you're looking at right now. I'll show you when I transport the model. You always want to have a good stand for transporting, so I just out of some simple pine wood put together a stand. I put the name on the side with some self-sticking letters. USS Crockett. There is the Crockett decal, which is on the stern of the boat. And all these chains came with the kit. Just had to mount them on. Again, there's the 40 millimeter stern gun. And that's pretty much my boat. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and share if you know anybody who would be interested in watching. And I always tell everybody, when you have nothing to do or you're bored, just buy a model boat, put it together. Very rewarding hobby. It's not easy, takes a lot of time. You know, a lot of things today are just ready to run out of the box, but there's a lot of satisfaction in building something yourself versus taking it out of the box and just putting it in the water or in the air. And these are very unique models. There's not too many of them around. You know, anybody can buy a ready-to-run boat, but to buy a kit like this and spend a few years building it, and that's usually what it takes. It's very rewarding. The paint I used on this, by the way, was just Krylon gray primer. That's what you're seeing on the deck surfaces. I used Dove gray for the sides and black for the boot line and red for the bottom of the hull. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, don't forget to like, share, and thank you very much for watching and supporting my channel. Have a great day.